Voters in Bangladesh recently handed Sheikh Hasina, already the world's longest serving woman prime minister, a fifth term after being in power for 19 years. Hasina's victory was a fait accompli, given that the main opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or the BNP, of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia boycotted the election. At the same time, there was clear expectation of Hasina's win against the backdrop of a robust economy of this country of 170 million people, of whom, according to the World Bank, 25 million have been lifted out of poverty in the last decade. Venkat Narayan, a senior Indian journalist and commentator based in New Delhi, was in Dhaka to report the outcome. In a span of 32 hours, he engaged Prime Minister Hasina, twice asking her blunt questions, including about the credibility of an election boycotted by the main opposition. Narayan spoke to Mayank Shah reports to explain the significance of the outcome in a country which feels like a virtual fiefdom of Sheikh Hasina, whose father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, founded it in 1971. So far, she has ruled it for 19 out of its 53 years as an independent nation. Venkat Narayan.
Welcome to Mayank Shah Reports. Venkat, it's always a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Mayank. It's a pleasure being seen on your show.
Thank you. In terms of credibility, what is your overall assessment of the Bangladesh election, which Sheikh Hasina won practically one-sided?
Yeah, that's simply because the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, headed by Khaleda Zia, who is unwell and recovering in a hospital, did not take part in the election. But more than 20 other parties did participate, and the BNP's condition was that Hasina should resign from her post and conduct the election under a neutral regime, and Hasina rejected that. So as a result, it would seem that it was obvious that it's a one-sided election, because all the other parties were minor parties, and her party won more than 222 seats in a 300-member parliament. So you can't really blame her for the election becoming a one-sided event. And as a result, what happened was that people knew that whether they went and voted or they did not go, the election was going to be won by the Awam League of Sheikh Hasina. So the voter turnout was about 41.8%. Whereas in the United States and India, the voting turnout ranges between 70 and 80%. But it's like the Congress Party boycotting Indian elections, and or the Republican Party boycotting the American elections or something. So, but it's not Hasina's fault, I'm afraid. But the fact remains that it was indeed a one-sided election, and she won the election hands down, Maya.
There is a BNP standing committee member called Abdul Moin Khan, who had said before the election that while demanding Hasina's resignation, he had said, "A government of the dummy, by the dummy, for the dummy." What's your sense of having been to Bangladesh and having covered it extensively? What happens to Bangladesh's political stability, or that's not a problem?
I don't think that's a problem at all, because you see, the BNP is the party's leader is languishing in a hospital, and her only son lives in exile in London, and the guy is wanted back in Bangladesh. If he ever returns, he would be locked up in jail. So you cannot really run a political party from long distance. And And because the BNP was floated by Ziaur Rahman, who was himself a general and involved in Mujib's assassination, Hasina's father, Mujib's assassination on the 15th of August 1975. Whereas Hasina's party is seen as a nationalist party, started by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who fought for the creation of a separate country for Bengali-speaking people, Bangladesh. So they see him as the father of Bangladesh, just as people in India see Mahatma Gandhi as father of the Indian nation. So her party is seen as a nationalist party, a patriotic party, and that sort of thing. And so she has won 5 terms. This is her 5th term, and she has already been in power for 19 years, and 5 more years means she would have been the Prime Minister for 24 years. Even now, she is the longest serving female Prime Minister in the entire world. She breaks the records of Indira Gandhi, Sirima Bandaranaike, Chandrika Kumaratunga, and Benazir Bhutto, as well as Maggie Thatcher and Golda Meir, you see.
It's interesting the names that you mentioned among women prime minister. A majority is in South Asia. Just as an aside, it struck me, it jumped out immediately.
You're absolutely correct. And basically, these ladies inherited political power by virtue of being, daughters of their fathers who ruled their respective countries, you see.
Right. How does someone like BNP acting chairman Tariq Rahman fit into the two Begum dynamic?
No, because he is holding forth for the simple reason that his mother is sick and unwell, and he's wanted here, for corruption he indulged in during when his mother was in power, and he knows that if he went back to Bangladesh, he would be arrested and locked up in prison. And the problem is he has no political experience, and you cannot run a political party from long distance. And he is not particularly seen as a potential leader, Mayank, and that is one of the reasons why the BNP has not done well this time. I'm not so sure if it will do any better in future.
Begum Khaleda Zia, who, as we know, the BNP matriarch, had boycotted even 2014 and 2018 elections. What is the strategy here? Why is she doing that?
Well, I asked the Awami League spokesperson Mohammed Arafat whether they were planning to sue the BNP for boycotting the elections, because that is, raising the questions of credibility in Bangladesh. And he said, he smiled and said, we don't really want to waste our time doing that. They are boycotting elections for the simple reason that they know they are not going to win elections. And if they really fight an election and lose the election, nobody will accept them as leaders. That's one of the reasons why they are boycotting elections. And in any case, there has been a remarkable development in Bangladesh under Hasina's regime. The first time I went to Bangladesh was in 1980. The streets used to be full of bicycles and cycle rickshaws. Now, I was amazed to see so many tall buildings and very good roads, 4-lane roads, and everybody is having a mobile, and their telecommunications are top class, and they have many 5-star hotels. But inflation is a big problem. They need to import most of their oil, and that is causing a lot of problems. India also imports 85% of its oil needs, but India is a bigger country and it can manage that. So prices are very high, and the poor people are finding it a problem to to carry on. But there is no alternative to Hasina and her all Awami League at this point of time, Mayank.
You tweeted something interesting, Venkat. You said in a span of 32 hours, you interacted with the country's prime minister twice, asking tough and blunt questions, something you don't get to do where you're sitting.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, the last time I used to do that was when Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister, and he was, accessible, and he would meet the media very often. And when he went abroad and came back, he would hold press conferences at the airport and all that. So those were occasions when one met Rajiv and would ask questions, and he would give replies unflinching. Yeah, that's what I found um, um, Sheikh Hasina doing. Unfortunately, after Rajiv's brutal assassination in 1991, all the people who followed him as prime ministers never really kept that tradition. Nehru and Indira Gandhi also used to meet the press regularly, and but none of the people who followed Rajiv, unfortunately, um, you know, mm, kept that tradition, and it is a problem for journalists to have any kind of access to the prime minister. He doesn't speak, doesn't hold press conferences. He simply puts tweets,
Right.
on X, and you're supposed to write your reports on the basis of that. I think the world's largest democracy deserves better, and having seen the access one enjoyed with Sina in Bangladesh, I do hope that there will be a change in the thinking process of the current Prime Minister of India, Mayank.
As you pointed out, it's the fifth term that Hasina is taking over now. That would mean that a country that has existed for 53 years, Hasina alone would have ruled for 24 when she finishes this new term. That's extraordinary. And then background that with the fact that her father founded it. It's almost like it's Sheikh Hasina's fiefdom now.
You could say that actually. But the thing is, she has a bunch of good advisors, highly educated people as ministers, and a bureaucracy that kind of is backing her to the hilt by implementing her policies and so on. As a result, there has been visible progress in that country. You can see things when you land in Dhaka and drive into the city. You can see it's all visible. I mean, this huge infrastructure and expressways and all that. Reduce the time you would take to commute from place A to place B. It used to take hours and hours in the olden days, but not so anymore. And Bangladesh is living abroad. They're beginning to send remittances home, and India has been very helpful. The the only problem right now is the Tista water sharing. That is a problem because Mamata Banerjee's refusal or reluctance to share water with Bangladesh. But otherwise, relations, I would say, between India and Bangladesh are very good, and Bangladesh is India's biggest trading partner in South Asia at this point of time, Maya.
Speaking of economic development, I was reading some figures. Bangladesh, of course, is one of the fastest growing economies in the region. It's even surpassed India in terms of growth, etc. Its
Right,
per capita income has tripled in the last decade, which is
right.
extraordinary. And in a country of 170 million people, the Sheikh Hasina government, according to the World Bank, has lifted 25 million people out of poverty. Now, these are formidable accomplishments for someone like her. So, I mean, it's almost as if she has no opposition to think about at this stage.
Yeah, she doesn't really need to worry, I suspect, about opposition for the simple reason that she's delivering. And people are happy about that. Bangladesh is the second largest textile exporter after China. And all the things, the infrastructural development has been remarkable. And in the next 5 years, I would reckon that there will be more development. And she is very active, accessible, and friendly to people, and even journalists. Even if you ask a blunt question, she would keep smiling while answering the question. That kind of thing. This is
I saw that clip when you were asking her. Yes.
yeah, that's right. So I think that is a great plus point for her, and the fact that she is the daughter of the founder of that country, and the fact that she is delivering are the two main reasons why she has been, in power for 19 years, and she will be in power for 5 more years by when she will be 81.
Amazing. Yeah. In contrast, another country that you know very well, like I do, Pakistan, they were born together on either side of India. Yet Pakistan is a basket case now, desperate for everything. And Bangladesh has really surged on. Do you think it's a cultural thing?
Well, one thing I must tell you, being an Indian, when I go to Dhaka, it's so nice to see a large number of women wearing saris. You don't find that in Pakistan.
Right.
And it's a cultural thing, I suspect. They speak Bengali. I think it is possibly the only country in the whole world which fought for its language and got a country in turn.
True.
Yeah, and you see, when uh, Pakistan was separate, was split into India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, the population of Pakistan was less than Bangladesh. Now, Bangladesh population is 170 million, whereas Pakistan's population has crossed 200 million. What that means is Bangladesh has been successful in controlling population, whereas Pakistan has failed. And the Pakistani administration, whether under military regimes or politicians, but dictated by military, they have been remarkably unsuccessful in doing anything. Actually, what Henry Kissinger said when Bangladesh came into existence, that is an international basket case, you could actually apply that to Pakistan in the year 2024, Mayank.
Kissinger had no clue, thoroughly overrated. But anyway, that's beside the point. You
Yeah.
know, Pakistan has become a sort of a Punjabi feudal enterprise where few people are predators and the rest have to just suffer. And like I said, it's a cultural gap between the way Pakistan is run and the way Bangladesh is run. There is a very strong element of Bengaliness that rules Bangladesh, and I think that's significant.
That's absolutely correct. And you see the affinity that the language brings with the people of West Bengal, and you read newspapers in the Bengali script, you feel as if you are in Calcutta and not in Dhaka and things like that.
Right.
And the people of Bangladesh speak in Bengali, and Bengali language has so many Sanskrit and Urdu words. And even if you don't know everything that they are saying in Bengali, you can get a gist of what they are trying to say and all that.
That's true.
I think language plays a very important part in Bangladesh today. This reminds me of what a Pakistani gentleman told me when I went there in, I think, year 1991, one of my 12 trips. We were together on several other trips, if you remember.
I do.
Yes. So this guy said, "Sir, the fact that Bangladesh broke away from Pakistan clearly means that religion does not mean anything to some people. Language is more important than religion." And having come back from my sixth trip to Bangladesh, I tend to agree with that man. said,
Absolutely.
That's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, you could sense very clear Punjabi contempt early on about Bangladeshis and Bengali language. And that manifested in the creation of Bangladesh.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, soon after India and Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah went to Bangladesh, and he apparently told the people that, hello, if you want to live in Pakistan, you must learn Urdu, forget about your language. And that is when Mujib rebelled, and the rest is history.
Yeah, which is ironic coming from a Gujarati from Saurashtra preaching
Exactly.
Urdu.
That's
No,
absolutely.
this is fascinating. Before I let you go, Venkat, last thing you did mention that bilateral relations are generally robust, except the tricky problem of the water sharing Teesta River.
That's right.
There are no serious outstanding issues at this stage, according to you.
No, no, no. Actually, we are helping, collaborating with the Russians to build, nuclear um, plants in Bangladesh, and Adani has just,
Hmm.
built a plant in the Indian side to supply power to Bangladesh, and I think the Bangladesh is reviving all those railway links that existed before the 1965 war.
I
All
see.
these things were, in a mess. Nothing was happening. Now they are trying to increase connectivity with India, and in the process, they are helping India to access the northeastern part of the country by
Right.
letting us use their, river waters and
Yeah.
buildings and all that. So, which is a good thing. And incidentally, a large number of Bangladeshi pilgrims come to India to visit Muslim shrines in Ajmer Sharif and all that,
Right.
and also they come in large numbers for medical reasons, for medical treatment, and a large number of Bangladeshi students are studying in schools in the states that border
I
Bangladesh.
see. I
Yeah,
see.
so you earn a lot of foreign exchange because of these things, and in any case, Bangladesh is one of the first countries to agree to do trading in the Indian rupee. This thing.
Right.
So,
Right.
these things, I believe, are going to further strengthen the relations between India and Bangladesh in the years to come, Mayank.
On that note, Venkat, I want to thank you for your time. You're always generous with me. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, being with you, seeing you